Let me ask you a question. How many are missed out on an opportunity not because you weren't ready, but because you doubted yourself? Pause, let hands go up. Lock eyes with the crowd. Yeah. Here's the truth, right? Write this down if you have a peng. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And once you build, can't take it away. So today, I'm not here to motivate you for 5 minutes, let you walk out the door unchanged. I'm here to give you the tools to build UN's Pabali confidence. Confidence that shows up when you break when life gets hard. Confidence that wins. Are you ready for that? Every single person you admire, every confident leader, every powerful speaker, every world-class athlete or business titan, they've all wrestled with that same silent enemy. The story in their head that says, I'm not enough. That voice that whispers, who do you think you are? That doubt that creeps in when it's time to raise your hand. Step on stage, speak your truth, or take the leap. But here's the truth that will set you free. That voice is a lie. It's not truth, it's a habit, a loop, a story you've repeated so many times that your brain believes it's reality. It's a story you picked up when you failed a test in school and thought you weren't smart enough, when you were rejected and thought you weren't lovable, when you saw someone else succeed and decided they were made of something you're not. Let me tell you something with every fiber of my being. You are. Right now, not someday. Not when you lose weight, make more money, or prove yourself. Right now. Let's make this real. Picture a young woman named Priya. She's smart, driven, compassionate. She's got dreams to start her own design studio. She's been helping friends with creative projects for years, always behind the scenes, always undercharging or doing it for free. Why? Because deep down, she's carrying a story that says, I'm not good enough to charge for this. I don't have a degree. I didn't go to the top school. The real deal. So every time she gets close to launching, to stepping into the spotlight, she pulls back, she stalls, she overthinks. And the world misses out on her gift. One day something clicks. She realizes she's been running her life on a script that wasn't even hers. It was her parents' doubts, society's standards, a few harsh comments from teachers, a handful of comparisons on Instagram, but it was never HR truth. That was the moment she decided to burn the old story. She wrote a new one that said, I am a creative force. My work has value. People need what I offer. And when she began living from that new story, everything changed. Her energy changed. Her clients changed. Her income changed. But most importantly, her belief in herself changed. You see, confidence doesn't begin with skills or experience. It begins with the story you tell yourself about who you are. And here's the crazy thing. Your brain doesn't care if the story is true. It only cares if it's repeated. Every morning you say to yourself, I'm not ready. I'm not qualified. I'm not as good as others. Then guess what? You're not going to feel confident no matter how talented you are. But if you wake up and say, bring value, I may not be perfect, but I'm powerful. I've overcome things most people couldn't even imagine. Then your confidence rises like fire. Let's take another example. Think about a young man named Jay. He's got dreams of becoming a speaker. He watches YouTube videos of Tony Robbins, Les Brown, or Eric Thomas and thinks, I wish I could be like that. But he's terrified. He thinks, what if I mess up? What if people laugh at me? That fear paralyzes him. He tells himself, I'm just not naturally confident like those guys. But he's wrong, because none of those speakers were born confident. They built it. And they built it by burning the not enough story every time it showed up. They didn't silence the fear. They refused to obey it. Jay decides to take a risk. He speaks at a local event. His hands shake. His voice cracks. But he finishes, and afterward, person walks up and says, that message really hit me. Thank you. That's all it takes. A spark, a new story. I can do this. Maybe I do have something worth saying. Burning the I'm not enough story doesn't mean you'll never feel fear again. It means you stop letting that fear define you. It means you get to be nervous and show up anyway. It means you're allowed to be imperfect and still be powerful. So how do you burn that story? You expose it. You bring it out of the shadows and into the light. You ask yourself, whose voice is this? Where did I learn this? Is it even true? And even if it feels true, do I want to keep believing it? Because here's what I know. You were born with everything you need. You've got scars. That's proof you've survived. You've got doubts. That means you care. You've got fear. Good. That means you're about to grow. Confidence isn't pretending you're fearless. It's moving forward in spite of fear, because your mission matters more than your insecurity. So today, right now, make the decision. Burn the story that says you're not enough. Gasoline on and watch it go up in flames, and from those ashes rise. Write a new story. Because the world is waiting for the most powerful version of you, and they're not waiting for perfect, they're waiting for real. For raw, for ready enough. And guess what? You already are. Let me tell you something most people knew at work or even in therapy in your body is the remote control to your mind. If you want to change the way you feel, maybe that was your old story. The way you think, the way you show up in your head, you start in your body. You've probably heard it before. Think positive. Change your mindset. Rewire your thoughts. Power thoughts. And that's the problem. When you're feeling anxious, low, or insecure, your mind is the last place you want to be. It becomes a battlefield and you feel lost. Trying to think your way out of it feels like pushing a car uphill in neutral. But what if I told you there's a shortcut, a trigger switch that can end stuck even if you've been stuck for years? That switch is your physiology, your posture, your breath, your facial expressions, the way you move, walk, stand, sit. These are the keys to unlocking confidence. Let's bring this down to real life. Have you ever noticed hunched over? You're hunched over, shoulders slouched, eyes down, small movements. They shrink themselves to take up as leg up as their breathing is shallow. Their tone is quiet, everything their body is saying. Please don't look at me. I'm not sure I belong here. Now contrast that with who walks in confident. Chest up, shoulders back, eyes forward, purpose in their stride. They don't need to announce they take up space not arrogantly, but authentically. Their energy shifts the room. And guess what? That confidence didn't start in their therapy body. Let me give you a simple but powerful daily life example. Imagine you're walking into a job interview. You're nervous, your hands are sweaty. You're playing worst case ace scenarios in your head. You think, what if I mess up? What if they don't like me? That meant in your body, you fidget. You slouch. You speak too quickly. You avoid eye contact. And what happens? You don't perform your best, not because your body broadcasted insecurity and your brain followed its lead. Now imagine the same situation, but this time before you walk in 2 minutes and power up your physiology. You stand tall, you stretch your arms wide, you breathe deeply. 4 seconds in, you're failed. Not because you're fake, but because smiling literally shifts the chemicals in your brain. You roll your shoulders back. You walk in like the person who already got the job. You didn't change your resume. Maybe didn't add new qualifications. That changed everything. It's not magic. It's science. Studies in psychology and neuroscience have shown change your posture and your breathing. Your hormonal and emotional states follow. Standing in a confident pose. What research pose for just 2 minutes can increase testosterone, which boosts confidence, and decrease cortisol, which lowers stress. Think about athletes before a game. Think about athletes before they go on stage. You'll never see a great boxer slumped over before a fight. You won't see Beyonce pacing with their head into their bodies. No. They jump, they stretch, they breathe, they own their space. That's how they access the energy they show up for. And guess what? You can do the same anytime, anywhere. When you wake up feeling low before a difficult conversation, but walk into a room full of strangers, change your body first. Take 3 deep breaths. Roll your shoulders back. Stand like you do. Move like someone who's got nothing to prove and everything to give. Let me share a real story. There was a student named Rishi, but socially, completely locked up. He wouldn't speak unless spoken to. Avoided eye contact. He always looked like he wanted to be worked on with one thing, not his resume, not his social skills, but his posture and breathing. Every day, he had to do one thing, walk tall across toward it. Shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward. At first, he felt ridiculous. He said, this isn't me. But over time, his brain started catching up with his, more assertive. He stopped second-guessing himself. He made eye contact. He spoke louder. A few months later, Rishi, who used to hide in the back, gave in to 300 people, and he sirashtended. Why? Because he rewired his confidence through his body. So here's your takeaway. You don't need to wait to feel confident. And the feeling will follow. Confidence isn't always born in the mind. Sometimes it's born in the muscle. Don't you have to move like it's already true. Yeah. Because here's the deal. Yeah. Your body is either working for you or every day. Oh. And once you learn how to use it, once you learn that physiology is the first step to psychology, you stop waiting for confidence hit and you start living it. Most people walk through life with a manga over their failures and a blindfold over their successes. They obsess over what went wrong, where they stumbled. They didn't do well enough, but they bear to the things they did do right. That's a problem, a big one. Because confidence isn't built by constantly, it's built by stacking your wins, deliberately, consistently, powerfully. Think about your brain like a courtroom. Every time you want to take a risk or step of mind goes on trial, there's a voice in your head that says, you can't do that. You've failed before. You're not ready. And if you've got no evidence of your capability, guess what? The verdict is in you shrink. You hold back. You play small. What if you could come into that courtroom with a mountain of proof, a stack of undeniable wins, big and small, that say, actually, I have done hard things. I have followed through. I have followed story. That's what stacking your wins is all about. It's about building your personal evidence file. Because when your brain sees proof, it starts pulling your belief as the seed of confidence. Let me make this real with a story. There's a guy named a man. Average student. Struggled with public speaking. Thought, leadership material. But in his final year at university, he decided to challenge himself. He joined a small campus group for just one comment. But it mattered. He felt nervous, sure, but afterwards someone said, that was a good point. That was a win. Like one. He brushed it off like it was nothing. A week later, he helped organize an event. It went well. He led the planning, solve problems, solve a huge win. But again, he barely acknowledged it. This is what most of us do. We achieve something, maybe, and then we instantly forget it, move, plunge, as if that success didn't happen. We don't give ourselves credit. And then we wonder why we don't feel when mentors gave him a new challenge. Every night, before you go to sleep, write down 3 wins from the day. Maybe don't have to be big. Just real, no skipping days. He resisted at first, thought it sounded silly. But he started. I answered a hard question in class. I printed that internship email. I didn't avoid the presentation. I volunteered. Day by day, the list grew. Maybe and as it grew, so did his belief. He had a journal full of proof that he was capable, courageous, competent. He had stacked into wins to silence good enough. That's the power of stacking your wins. It's not about ego, it's about recognition. Maybe that was your old story. You've got to give yourself credit for the progress you've made, the times you showed up when it would have been easier to hide. Maybe that was story. Don't tell me you haven't done any. You've made it through days you thought would break you. You've made hard choices. You've done the right thing even when you've gotten up after falling down. That counts. That's a win. If you don't count it, it can't build your confidence. You've got to become a collector of applause, not just the achievements with awards and applause. Especially the quiet ones. The days when you fought through Diauk. The moments when you stood your ground. The little things that no one else saw. But you did, because the brain loves patterns, and the more your brain starts to associate you with success, with resilience, with courage, the more you repeat the pattern, the more automatic confidence becomes. Examples. You're nervous about giving a presentation. Your brain starts playing the what if game. If I freeze, what if I freeze? What if I forget my at me? Now imagine pulling out a list of past wins. I led that meeting last month and it went great. I spoke up enough score. I practiced speech and got good feedback. That list is your armor. It's your defense against fear. Now you walk in energy. Not because you're pretending, but because you've trained your brain to remember who the hell you are. You want confidence. Start giving confidence. Wait for external validation. Validate yourself. Write down your wins. Say them out loud. Reflect on them. Let them sink in. And on the days when you doubt everything, when fear is loud, go back to your win list. Read it. Feel it. Remind yourself you've done it before. And you'll do it again. That's alpha in the leap, not in one giant leap, but in daily reminders that you are capable, you are consistent, and you are climbing. Stack your wins every day and watch you a skyscraper built on solid steel. If there's one thing that shapes every action you take, every dream you chase or don't chase, it's the identity you've accepted for yourself. Because here's the truth that contradicts the way you see yourself. If you want to build unstoppable confidence, you don't just change what you don't, you change who you believe you are. Most people walk through life carrying over themselves definitions they didn't even choose. These identities come from childhood, from criticism, from trauma, from one moment when someone said, "You're too, I'm not smart enough," or "You're not leader material." and it stuck. You started repeating it. It became a belief, and over time, that belief became reality. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm just not that confident. I'm a quiet type. They're not describing what they do. They think they are. And as long as that identity remains, no amount of motivation or temporary action will stick, because identity is the root. Change the whole. Let's look at a real world example of Meet Anjali. For most of her life, she saw herself as the background speaker, not the speaker, the one who helped from behind the scenes, quietly, efficiently, never in the spotlight. It wasn't that she lacked skill. Her inner identity told her, that's not you. You're not the face. So whenever opportunity to speak, to rise, she hesitated. She let someone else step up. Not because she couldn't roll. Then one day something changed. She was working on a team project that started to fall apart. The designated leader bailed, but everyone could talk herself out of it. And Jolly stepped forward. She organized the tasks, set deadlines, talked to stakeholders, kept everyone on track. The project Susinjue. I didn't know you had that in you, they said. And at first, she almost shrugged it off. Almost said, that's not really me. But this time, she paused. She asked a different question. What if that is me? What if the only reason I I've never given myself permission to become one? From that moment, she began to rewrite her identity. She started saying it out loud, I am allowed. And guess what? Her actions began to align with that new identity. She spoke up more. She took initiative. She stopped waiting to be chosen and started. Confidence wasn't fake. It was flowing from a new foundation, a new belief about who she is. Maybe that's what changing your identity old story. It's revealing. It's uncovering the truth about what's possible for you when you stop living by old labels and start defining yourself on purpose. Let's make this practical. If you constantly things like, I'm not the assertive type, I'm not brave, and then guess what? Brain work overtime to make sure that comes your reality, because the brain craves consistency between identity and behavior. It hates dissonance. So if you want to behave more confidently, you would say, I am the kind of person who shows up boldly. I am someone who trusts their voice. I am the kind of person who speaks evil and nerve. You may not feel like it yet. That's okay. Confidence isn't about feeling. It's about becoming. You start by saying it. You reinforce a flea fit by repeating it. Another example, let's say you're trying to break out of a timid, hesitant pattern in your life. Every time you're in a group, you hold sharing an idea, fear wins. The old identity is whispering. You're the quiet one. You're not made for this. But here's the script. You have permission to adopt a new identity. You decide. You say, I used to be hesitant, but now I'm someone who leans into challenging and variety and value to every room I enter. You talk differently. You breathe differently. You don't fake confidence. You build it by yourself and living into it daily. Identity is powerful. If you see yourself as the underdog, you'll keep playing small. If you see it awkward. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who belongs, someone who adds value, someone who rises under pressure, you best part. You don't need outside validation to change your identity. No one else has to crown you. You crown yourself, not in arrogance, but in ownership, fulfilling your behavior with your new identity. When you stop saying, I hope I can, and start saying, this is who I am now. Here's the invitation minutes today, and write down the version of you that you want to become. Not someday. Now. Who are they? How do they walk? How do they speak? What are they deserves? Then start being that person every day. When it's hard, especially when it feels uncomfortable, because confidence isn't an act. It's if your life with a powerful identity. And when you own who you really are, you become unstoppable. Confidence is not born in comfort. It's wrapped in a blanket of routine, scrolling through social media, waiting for motivation to strike. Confidence lives on the edge of the spaces where your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind whispers, are you sure you can do this? That's where the magic lies. If you want to build unstoppable confidence, you need to make a decision that most peer lives have, the decision to get uncomfortable on purpose every single day. See, the problem isn't that people are incapable or incompetent, it's that they avoid the very process that would create it. They wait to feel ready before they act. Maybe the truth is, reading is the perfect moment, the perfect mood, or the perfect plan. You'll be stuck in hesitation forever. Growth doesn't wait for comfort. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Rahul. Rahul was terrified of public speaking. The mere thought of standing in front row, his stomach turned. So what did he do for most of his life? He avoided it. He sat at the back of the classroom. He never raised his hand. He chose rolling the scenes. And because he never challenged the fear grew stronger. Then one day a mentor gave him a challenging, every day, do one thing that makes your house small. Just make discomfort your new normal. It sounded ridiculous at first, but Rahul decided to try. Day one, he introduced himself to Estrelle too. His voice trembled, but he did it. Day two, he volunteered to speak up in a group discussion at work. His heart was pounding, but he did it. Short video of himself sharing an ideal line. He hated how he looked, how he sounded, but he posted it anyway. Day by day, Rahul was reprogramming his brain. He'd sensed him to understand that fear was not a stop sign. It was a green light. He stopped interpreting discomfort as downer as a signal that he was growing. And guess what? A few months later, maybe that was your old story, Rahul stood on a stage and gave speeches. Not because he magically became fearless, but because he conditioned himself to be brave in the face of fear. That's what getting uncomfortable do against fear. It rewires your brain to treat challenge as a musker, not a monster. You begin to see yourself differently. Not similar, but someone who faces it. And the beauty of it, it doesn't take a massive leap. It starts with small, intentional acts of courage. Speak up when you don't feel it. Ask the question you're afraid to ask. Say yes to the opportunity that intimidates you. Show up even when you feel unprepared. Discomfort. You're building a confidence deposit in your mental bank account. And the more deposits you make, the more interest you earn in the form of unkakagem. Think of it like going to gym. If you want to build muscle, you don't just lift the weight. That's easy. You push your limits. You break down to be stronger. Confidence works the exact same way. It's a muscle. And discomfort is the gym. The world has trained us to believe the cozy job, the easy path, the predictable routine, but comfort zones are called zones for a reason. They have walls, and those wife if you're not careful. What would happen if, instead of avoiding discomfort, you chased it? What if you made it your mission to eat every day, knowing that each one is a stepping stone toward your next level? There's power in discomfort. Power in saying, I'm scared, but I'm yourself. Proving to yourself over and over that fear is not in charge. You are. One of the greatest realizations, you and excitement feel almost exactly the same. The only difference, the story you tell yourself about what's happening. When you flip the script and start feature instead of a threat, everything changes. You stop backing down. You stop doubting. You stop waiting. You start acting. You start evolving. You start becoming. Because that version of you is always there, waiting behind the wall of comfort you were afraid to break through. So here's the challenge from today, or a thing a day, just one. It doesn't have to be huge, just enough to make your heart skip a beat, enough to make you stretch. Keep enjoying your Dem Fort reps, stack them like building blocks. Soon, you'll look back and realize you're not just confidence, but character. Because confidence isn't born in the easy moments. It's born in the fire, in the tension, brave, messy, awkward, when every part of you wants to retreat. Move forward anyway. Get uncomfortable daily, because every time you do, you remind yourself of who you really are, and it's from fear, but someone who rises through it. Words are not just sounds. They are fuel your emotions and mold the very identity you live by. Every word you speak, especially, is a command to your mind and body. So if you want to build unshakable, unstoppable confidence, you must take control of your language. You must speak power into your life. Most people don't even realize how destructive their daily vocabulary is. They say things like, I'm not good at that. I always this. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm just not that confident. What they don't understand is that words become beliefs. Beliefs become identity. Identity becomes destiny. So when you constantly speak weakness, fear, or limitation over yourself, your subconscious accepts it as fact. And the more you repeat it, the more it becomes your reality. Let me give you a real example. There's a woman named Tara. Smart, capable, passionate, but constantly playing things like, I'm terrible at decisions, Or, I hate being the center of attention. Over time, she stopped going after promotions, stopped volunteering for projects, stopped raising her hand in meetings. May not because she wasn't qualified, but because herself with limiting language every single day. One afternoon, she attended a workshop on confidence that hit her like a lightning bolt. If you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself, maybe they still be your best friend. Upbull. She realized her internal dialogue wasn't just negative, it was toxic. She was verbally assaulting herself every day we would never dream of saying to someone else. So she made a radical decision. She was going to rewire her language. From that day on, whenever she caught her saying disempowering, she would stop and flip it. Instead of, I'm not good at decisions, she started saying, I'm learning to trust my instincts. Instead, I'm a leadership person. She said, I'm stepping into leadership more every day. Hate being the center of attention, she said. I'm worthy of being seen and heard. Within months, her energy changed. People noticed. She wasn't faking confidence. She was creating the power of her words. You have the same power. Words are tools. You can use them to build or to destroy, to lift yourself or to keep yourself stuck, to energize your strength. Every time you speak about yourself, you are casting a vote for the type of person you are becoming. So let me ask you, are you voting for your limitations? Imagine you're getting ready for a job interview. One version of you says, I'm so nervous, I'm probably going to mess this up. Maybe another version of you says, I've worked hard for this. I'm excited to share what I bring. I've got value to offer, and I'm going to situation, totally different outcome. Why? Because language directs focus, and focus creates experience. Your brain follows your words. If you speak fear, you feel fear. If you speak power, you feel power. Now, this isn't about lying to yourself. It's not about cheesy affirmations that out-choosing empowering language that aligns your growth. You don't have to say, I'm the best in the world. If you don't, Leon, say, I'm growing stronger every day. I've got what it takes. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be present. Your kind of language shifts something deep inside. There's science behind this too. Neuroscience has proven that word structure of your brain. Positive self-talk strengthens your emotional resilience and performance. Athletes use it. The performers use it. High-level CEOs floofy because it works. Let me give you a powerful practice. The morning power ritual. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you start the day, stand in front of the mirror and speak life into yourself. Say out loud, I am confident. I am prepared. I arise to the channel this. I am becoming stronger, wiser, and bolder every single day. At first, you might feel silly. You might not believe every word because confidence isn't about waiting for belief. It's about creating it through repetition. Say it until you believe it. Believe it until you live it. Here's the truth: in the world is loud with doubt. You've got people telling you what you can't do. Media feeding you fear, and your own mind rescues. You need a louder voice on your side, and that voice must be your own. So from today, commit to this. No more calling yourself not enough. No more shrinking with your language. No more labeling yourself with fear. Speak power. Speak courage. Speak like someone who knows they were born to rise. Because the person who speaks boldly lives boldly. And when you speak power into your life, you teach the guy the power that's been inside you all along. If you're going to build on stop, face one truth head on, you will fail. You will mess up, stumble, get rejected. Here, no, lose your momentum and cruise your negative thinking. It's life, but the people who rise, the people who walk with unshakable confidence, they don't avoid failure. They turn every setback into the fuel for their greatest comeback. Confidence is not about being perfect. It's not about winning every time. It's about things go sideways. It's about resilience. And resilience isn't a talent. It's a decision. A decision to bounce back when others baffle, meaning in the mess. A decision to keep moving when every part of you wants to retreat. Let's bring this to life. There's a guy named Arjun, and aspiring ideas, passion, and energy. He finally launched his first business, a small online coaching program. He put in hours of effort, stayed up nights, burned his brain, poured his heart into it. And when he launched, crickets, no sign-ups, no sales, a few likes on social media, nothing substantial. He felt self. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And that inner voice, It nearly convinced him to quit. That's how I'm capable. That's they're not capable. Because they misinterpret the pain of the setback. But something changed for Arjun. Instead, seeing through he wasn't good enough, he decided to treat it as feedback. He asked, what can I learn from this? He reached out to people who didn't buy and asked them why. He refined his message, fixed his offer, improved his communication, and true much still not massive, but better. He got a few clients. He improved. He grew. Now, a year later, he's running a successful coaching failed, but because he refused to let the setback be the end of the story. That's the game. When life knocks you down, you get to decide. It means, most people make it mean, I'm not good enough, I should stop trying. But confident people make it mean, this is part of the process, this is where I grow. This is the part of the story people will talk, I make it. Confidence isn't the absence of failure. It's the ability to fail forward. To see your setbacks as setups for your come up. Think of a baby learning to walk. They don't try once and give up. They fall over and over again. They stumble, they cry, they get bruised, but never not once. This walking thing just isn't for me, no. They get up again, and eventually they walk, then they run. What if you gave yourself a fail that you gave a child learning to walk? What if instead of beating yourself up after a mistake, you said, that was my rep. I'm come back. Begins with the decision to not stay down. You have to build a mindset that says, setbacks don't define me, they refine me. Take sports, for example. Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, missed over 9,000 shots in his career. He lost nearly 300 games. 20 psychs take the game-winning shot and missed. And what did he say? I've failed over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. He's succeeding every missed shot. Every failure was a teacher, not a tombstone in your own life. Think of a time you failed a job interview, didn't pass a relationship that fell apart. Now ask yourself, did I use that moment to build myself, or did I let it break me? Because hears and grows when you face hard moments and keep going. It doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance, from getting back up when the world is... Let me share one more example. A young woman named Raya dreamed of becoming a motivational speaker. But the first time she spoke in front froze, forgot her lines. Panic kicked in. She walked off the stage mid-sentence. People whispered. She cried in the bathroom. She told herself, I'm not meant for that. She got back on stage, shaky hands, dry throat, heart pounding. She did it anyway, and she finished her talk. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. She's speaking at national conferences because she turned the worst moment for her comeback story. And so can you. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever rejection, failure, embarrassment, or pain, it doesn't have to, it caught the beginning of the version of you that doesn't break, the version of you that rises. So next time you fall, ask yourself, is this a failure or is back up? Speak power into yourself, learn the lesson, adjust the approach, and come back stronger. Because the people who build unstoppable count, they're ones who never fall. They're the ones who turn every fall into the reason they stand taller next time. You can have the best mindset, the shoe's biggest dreams, but if you're surrounded by the wrong people, your confidence will crack, because confidence is not built in ice or reinforced and fueled by the voices around you. If you want unstoppable confidence, maybe you must surround yourself with people who pour poise you, not poison. Take a moment and ask yourself, who are the people you talk to the most? Are they lifting you up or tearing you up or grow? Or pulling you back into old patterns? Are they reminding you of your greatness or reinforcing your doubts? Because here's the truth. Confidence a tree. Spend enough time around people who doubt themselves, who constantly complain, who live in fear and excuses, and eventually their energy becomes yours. Not because you want it to, but because we become what we're exposed to. But the opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with people who believe in you, something powerful happens. You start to rise to their level. You start thinking bigger, taking bolder action, showing everything has changed on the outside, but because you've changed what's feeding your inner world. Let me give you a real example. There's a Umemo talented, creative, but stuck. He had all these big dreams to become a designer, to start his own brand, but he kept talking to them. Why? Because every time he shared his vision, the people around him would laugh, doubt, or dismiss it. That's risky, they'd say. Don't get you. Slowly, their voices became his inner voice. He started to shrink his vision, water it down. He didn't even realize it, but he was liver people had placed on him. Then something shifted. He joined a mastermind group. Just 5 other people, all ambitious, creative, hungry for growth. They challenged each other, supported each other, and called out each other's self-doubt. When Veer shared his dream, they didn't laugh. They said, let's go. How can we help you? That one shift in environment changed everything. Within months, he launched his brand, not because he suddenly had all the answers, but had people who believed he could find them. And when you have people like that in your corner, you don't need all the confidence right away. You can borrow some until you build your own. Think about a fire. It needs fuel to grow. Confidence is the same. And your environment is the fuel. Negative water on your flame. Positive, empowering people. That's gasoline. They'll light you up. They'll remind you who you are when you forget. They beat off life into your vision when doubt tries to whisper death. Let's get real for a second. Some of you are stuck not because of your people. You've been loyal to friendships that no longer serve your growth. You're hanging on to relationships where you've been full self. You're dimming your light to make others comfortable. And I'm here to tell you that it has to stop. Confidence doesn't grow where you're comfortable self. It doesn't grow in environments of gossip, judgment. It grows where you're celebrated. That was your old story. Where you just tolerate it, not will call out the best in you, not your worst fears. You don't need 100 friends. You need a circle, a tight group of your people, not the past you. People who see your potential and won't let you settle. People who hold you your standard, even on the days you want to quit. Leave it a confidence and create a confidence circle. Find 3-5 people who are committed to growth. Meet regularly. Online or in person. Share goals. Celebrate wins. Call out excuses. Bell into each other. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. And if you don't have those people yet, start becoming that person yourself and inspires. Confidence builders attract other confidence builders. What you give out, you'll begin to receive. Also, be mindful of the invisible offenses soon. The podcasts you listen to, the books you read, the voices in your ear matter. If your friends aren't confidence builders, be the authors, speakers, and leaders who pour belief into your mindset until the right people show up in your life. Because here's the truth you become like most time with. So surround yourself with fire, with vision, with discipline, with love, with belief. Maybe that was your olds. And you'll start to feel that salience doesn't elase and grow in isolation. And grow alignment with the right voices, the right energy, the right environment. So today, make a deed along or let my circle shrink my confidence. I will build an environment where belief flows, dreams grow, and courage multiplies. Because when you're surrounded by people years from you, you start to expect it from yourself. And that's when confidence becomes unstoppable.